Hey there, it's Wendy from Worldwide Speak. Welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about how to write a hook. And this video is specifically geared for English language learners who are just beginning their writing journey. But of course, it's open to anybody who's interested in learning about what a hook is. Well, as you can see from this image here on the slide, that we have a building with these giant binoculars, which is pretty interesting, right? And maybe you want to know what this building is or why they have these enormous binoculars. Well, that's kind of like a hook. So it's getting you interested in something so that we can learn more. And just in case you want to know what this building is, it's the binocular building. That's what it's known as unofficially. It was the Chiat Day building in Venice, California, and it's actually now being used as of 2021 as the headquarters in Los Angeles for Google. So if you want to learn more about that, you can. But right now, what we're going to learn more about is how to write a hook. So let's get started. Okay, so what is a hook? Similar to the hook that we use to catch fish, a writing hook wants to catch the attention of the reader. The hook is typically the first sentence of your paper, and there are different types of hooks or ways to grab your reader's attention. Just how I used that picture with the binoculars on that building, which is unusual or interesting or captivating to grab your attention, we have different ways to grab the reader's attention when we begin our papers. Let's take a look at what these are. So some types of hooks, we can use facts or statistics. Those are always interesting. We can use a strong or interesting statement. We can use quotations from somebody famous or very well known. We can use a description with lots of vivid adjectives and words that paint a picture in the mind of your reader. And we can also begin with a question. What I want to do is go through each one of these and talk a little more about them and give you an example of what it looks like. All right? So for the first one, a fact or a statistic. Before I even get started, I just want you to read what's in red below me. Do not make this up. When you're writing in an academic setting, you really need to make sure that your fact or statistic comes from a reliable and reputable source. Now, here I have a fact: a faucet that leaks at the rate of 1 drip per second can waste more than 3,000 gallons per year. That amount of water is equivalent to 180 showers. This is a true fact. And if somebody were to search that fact on the internet, they would be able to find that it's true. And it's super interesting as well if you think about how much water that actually is. And it shows the reader that this little problem can have big consequences, and it does it in a way that uses numbers or facts to kind of get the attention of the reader and hook them in to reading more about this problem. Let's take a look at the next one, a strong or interesting statement. So depending on the type of paper you're writing, you can be very opinionated or have a very strong statement if you're writing an argumentative essay, or if you're writing maybe a personal narrative or a how-to, you can have some sort of interesting statement to grab the reader's attention. Here, I use, literary language to kind of create an image in the mind of the reader that's a little unusual. So I say, swimming on an empty stomach and without proper sleep can feel like you are in pavement instead of water. So as you can see from that image there, the swimmer is actually in a street, which is never going to happen. but it does give the reader a visual picture in their mind, like, oh my gosh, swimming in cement or pavement, excuse me, would be so difficult, so that they're already creating that interesting image in their mind, and that's going to draw them in and make them want to read your paper. Let's take a look at the quotation. This is often used. You just need to make sure that you cite who is doing the speaking. So Frank Gehry, who happens to be one of my all-time favorite architects. I love architecture and buildings, and I really love his style. So he was the one that did the binocular building at the beginning of this video. And here's another one of his buildings that's just super cool. And so let's say I was doing a paper about architecture and specifically Frank Gehry. And I wanted to open with a quote by him and say, Frank Gehry once remarked, "I don't want to do architecture that's dry and dull." He has definitely lived up to this statement. So that way, you have this quotation directly from the person you're probably going to be speaking about, or that has some sort of influence or pertains to the topic you're writing about. And quotes can be a great way to start your papers. But remember, you don't want to start every paper with a quote. Your teachers might get a little tired because that would be repetitive. Let's talk about description. Now, if you're writing some sort of, this might pertain more to a paragraph or some sort of essay that's got to describe something, maybe in more of a story-like form, maybe a narrative essay. You want to, again, kind of like the interesting statement, with starting it with a description, you really want to use, metaphor or very descriptive adjectives and words that can paint the picture in the mind of the reader, so they have this image, this super descriptive image that makes them want to learn more about your paper. In this one, I say, "The fresh snow glistened on the mountain, sparkling like jewels as the sun danced across the slope. Silence beckoned me to begin the descent, so elegantly framed with frosted pine trees." Here, I'm probably writing some narrative essay about how I first learned to ski, or maybe an event that took place while I was skiing. And this sets the stage and gives the reader this very inviting, descriptive picture of how we're going to start out on this writing journey in my paper. Okay, and the last one is the use of a question. And here I have an example. Is it possible to design a building that bends? And you can guess, this is another building by Frank Gehry. This one is the Walt Disney Concert Hall. But let me say something about the question. It's a great way to begin a paper if you're just starting out on your writing journey. But be advised, the question should be used sparingly. Do not start every one of your papers with a question. Just kind of like the quotation. You want to, you could use this, but try not to use it in every paper you write. Again, that repetition will be difficult for your teacher to read over and over and over, and it might compromise or affect your grade. So the purpose with teaching you about these 5 different ways or 5 different types of hooks is to have you experiment with them when you're writing. Try using a fact or a statistic, try using a strong or interesting statement or a question, a quotation. It's up to you. But it's really great when you start writing that you have these options and you know exactly what to use. And that being said, the hook is really important. And as you're beginning to write, you'll get more comfortable with which one you like to use the best. But remember, it's like a first impression when you meet somebody. You're not going to go meet somebody new, looking disheveled and, mumble and not look them in the eye. You're going to want to look your best. You're going to want to look them in the eye. And that's kind of like your hook. You want to start your paper out strong, and you want to be interesting, and you want to grab the attention of the reader and make a great first impression. And the hook is a fantastic way to do that. So, best of luck to you. If you come up with a great hook, please let me know by putting it down in the comments below. I would love to hear about your writing. And remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It really helps us get the word out to more people who need writing tips in English. All right, have a great day.